All right, getting into this next game, Rocky and TopGun. Like I was just talking about, coming off of the scrim block. So even though this might not be a scrim or even a tournament, they're still a relatively new duo together. They want to do more scrims and try getting to pro play together. So they're working out some synergy stuff together. Rocky just took a quick meal break to go wash it down as they fly into Pleasant Park here, which what used to be one of the most popular locations. Still has a good amount of activity. Right now, the drop locations are pretty well spread out across all the maps. So a lot of times in duos, Pleasant Park, you'll see probably one or two other teams here. It's rare you'll find more than like 5. Extremely rare in this kind of environment, but I mean, based on how the game is, that's a good amount of other teams. Just kind of looting up in the early game. It's actually really good what you're seeing here that Rocky's doing is he's hitting a lot of the furniture and such along the way. So as he's looting these rooms, he's hitting the furniture as he's moving towards the next room that he's going to loot. To really just minimize the amount of time it takes to not only loot, but also gather resources like materials. Sitting pretty good on a standard build here. He has shotgun, bolt action sniper, and AR. So he's got pretty much an answer for anything. Just wants to get some more materials, some better shielding options for sure. 100 HP is not really where you want to be at beyond the starting location. Or really ever where you really want to be at. Looking at TopGun, he's got a double pump shotgun with an AR. So he doesn't have a super long range option like Rocky does with that sniper, but he does have recovery option at the least. No shielding yet. He's likely going to want to replace that silenced SMG with, there you go, with either a long range option or a sieging option. So he finds a sieging option with the grenades there. Maciel, welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're here. TopGun is just going to go ahead and gather some more resources. As I was saying that typically you'll find one or two other teams in this environment, it's looking like there might not be any other duos. There might have been one more just kind of lurking about, but it's looking like it's kind of fair game, free for these guys to loot up freely. Which is good. If you're trying to develop synergy within a duo, early game action is still useful. There are certain intricacies about early game fights that you won't see in late game, such as a lot of times other players don't have as many mats as they do later on. So there's a little bit less artificial building, a lot more natural building you have to work around than normal. Also, you have to figure out how to communicate what the other player needs, what you need, because typically you won't both have everything you want off the start. So there's a lot of little things that early game you really want to try to work out with your teammate. But a lot of the times early game as well, it's a lot of fighting for yourself. It's a lot of personal positioning. So it's not super common that you'll develop a significant amount of synergy with your duo partner or even squads in the early game. So if you're dropping a little bit less activity such as this, it's actually fine because you'll be able to get geared up and you'll be able to go straight into late game synergy development, which is typically what you want to develop more if you have to pick the two. Because a lot of times in professional environments and scrims and whatnot, you'll find an opportunity where you'll land pretty safe. You'll land in an area where you don't normally see a high population because you'll want to loot up really well and get each other up with a good amount of weapons, good amount of materials. Because a lot of times in scrims and professional environments, commonly you'll see that the win is weighted more so towards overall tournament victory, whatever it may be, than kill count. So landing safely and making sure each other are well geared, well looted is definitely an ideal thing. So a lot of times in professional environments, you don't really need to develop early game synergy as much. Though sometimes you still find yourself in early game fights. And also there's a lot of tournaments that do have a good amount of weight towards kill count. And those kind of tournaments, you'll definitely want to find yourself landing at a location that may not be incredibly popular, such as like a Tilted Towers location or something of that sort, but still locations like Pleasant Park that do have a tendency to have popularity, though not in this game. So you can rack up some kills. So it's probably why Rocky and TopGun dropped here instead of something like Tilted, more towards the middle of the map, as this kind of location has a good amount of enemy players typically, though it won't be so popular, so they can work out the kinks of both early game synergy and late game synergy in the same game. Really save time there. TopGun grabbing 2 siege options just to kind of fill up his inventory count. There's no real reason to not have more options for yourself, especially since you can stack these options. Sticky grenades, I personally enjoy using more than hand grenades. You can stack 3 of them on like a turtle sitting in a 1x box. If you stack 3 of them on there, then you'll instantly kill that player no matter how much HP and shielding they have, because the first one explodes and the other 2 fall inside and explode as well with the first one, and they each do 100 damage and good blast radius, about a box width as well, so that player will die. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. So TopGun can essentially do that to 2 different boxes right now with 6 stickies. They're also pretty good at range, and if you stick it on somebody, of course, it does the 100 damage. The hand grenades are also useful and can stack up. He has 6 of them now, so you can go ahead and spam those along your way as you're providing some pressure on an enemy player. Double shotgun is kind of a meta loadout along with 1 AR. Have a good answer for both close and medium range. Those are higher priorities than longer range options. TopGun kind of just gathering his mental state, taking a breather, making sure he's relaxed so he doesn't make any mistakes later on. But yeah, with the building element of this game, especially being able to build a ramp plus a wall on the other side of the ramp to kind of double tier it along your progression, you can really push on another player really well to close the gap if you need to. But if you don't have a close range option with the shotguns, then it's far more difficult to use building to push somebody away from you. Checking in with where Rocky is sitting with his gear. He has in reserve a shield pot. Of course, you can't share that, so they have the one between the 2 of them. He has answers for everything. The double shotgun loadout, like previously mentioned. You won't really ever see double attack, but a pump with attack, double pump, heavy with the pump, heavy with attack, heavy, double heavy. Those are the combos you'll find. The only combination of shotguns you don't find will be a double attack shotgun. Mossiel, thank you for the 2 bits. Appreciate you supporting the cast. Of course, Rocky has the AR with a long range option, which is that bolt action sniper. So he doesn't have the siege options like TopGun does, but does have a long range sniping capability, long range 1 shot to the head capability, which is very good. You want at least one of your players of your team to have that typically. So other players at long range will have to respect the peaks. They don't get free reign of shots on you while you're pushing up to them. Much like you want at least one person on your team to have a sieging option, typically. Finds a player just standing still, easy kill for Rocky. Interesting enough. Not quite sure what the other player's doing. Maybe their teammate died and they just decided they want to just wait it out for the inevitable loss. No confidence in themselves, or maybe they're just distracted. Who knows? But having at least one person on your team with a sieging opportunity, like the grenades or the sticky bombs, are really useful. What those allow you to do is whenever your team's pushing up towards an enemy players, you can really make it so it's extremely difficult for them to turtle up, for them to use their own buildings to cover themselves. TopGun saw the minis there, but he left them for Rocky, knowing that Rocky was at 25 shielding. He went and held that shield pot there. Used one of the 3 minis that drops in the stack. That's how they drop 3 at a time. Uses 1 mini to get to 50, shield pot to get to 100 shielding. So they're both sitting really pretty right now. And then Rocky will just go ahead and hold those other 2 minis that were previously in the spot of the shield pot itself. Rocky took a little bit of damage from the storm there, but it's not too much of a concern. It's only 9 HP, and there's not really anything in the game that's really going to be in a 1-shot difference from 191 effective HP to a 200. Pretty much anything that could kill you at 191 would also kill you at 200 before you're able to create some cover for yourself. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a difference right there. Of course, every HP counts, but it's not that important in this situation. Right now, both players are kind of roaming. They're looting up some materials along the way. They're getting some wood, especially, which is the best kind of material for aggressive play. It has the highest base HP when you initially place it, and it builds to the highest total HP faster. Though its total HP is lower than that of brick and certainly lower than that of metal. So there is usefulness for the other 2 material types, depending on play style, but almost always wood is going to be your most useful material. So not only that, but also it's the easiest material to gain. So a lot of times you'll see people with high wood counts and not as high other material counts. TopGun, typically with this duo synergy, what they do is TopGun's a very aggressive player who likes to roam a lot. Especially since he's the one that doesn't have a sniper right now as well, and does find another team trying to lay down these sticky bombs at distance. That would be quite the highlight reel if he can land a sticky on another player at that range. It's not a very easy thing to do. Right there, like I was saying before, stacking the sticky bombs, trying to really punish somebody who might be boxing up, but in that situation, it's not as useful as I was explaining before, but still fairly useful. Rocky taking some fire here. TopGun's trying to find an angle on this player who's on the other side of the tree. It's a little bit awkward, trying to get some angles happening. Rocky just trying to maintain some sniper coverage, keep the other player at distance at bay, while TopGun tries to jump down with a shotgun and does get that knock. Very good job by TopGun. Finish off the player. Go ahead and loot their ammo and materials and see if they have any recovery options, or right there a musket to really round out his inventory for this fight. Rocky being a little bit aggressive, pushing up a little bit to get up to TopGun's location. Is likely going to be a 2v1 situation. TopGun's really maintaining the suppression right now. And right there, like I was saying before, Rocky is pushing up as TopGun's spraying those, spamming those hand grenades. So while the enemy player is under the suppression, under fire from the grenades, Rocky has a little bit more of a coverage, a little bit more freedom to push up. Is a little bit behind the tempo here in the building. The other player is doing a good job of maintaining that high ground a little bit, not letting TopGun or Rocky be able to get these shots off. Rocky trying to get the shot off another player, does do so, shoots out of the floor from below him. Gets a nice upgraded gold scar here. He's going to feel pretty good about that. Great job by TopGun and Rocky finishing off that fight right there. But like I was saying before, Rocky is typically a player who really enjoys getting snipes off. He's very good at it as well. So it's not like he's fearing aggression or anything of that sort. He's just a little bit more of a cautious player. Also a player who really enjoys and favors long-range shootouts, especially with the snipers. Which is definitely a playstyle choice. There's nothing wrong with that in the meta or anything of that sort. As you can tell right there, when he needs to be aggressive, he is able to do so. It's especially okay with Rocky as well, because as you can see right here, TopGun again leading the charge, being the aggressive player. A lot of these times, TopGun will be the first to roam, and he's always out there to scout. He's used to it as well, so once he finds another team, he'll be able to get these shots off, try to punish as much as possible, and then Rocky's almost always in that position to be able to lay that suppressing fire on, get the covering fire, get some snipes off while they're distracted by TopGun. So it may seem like they're on a different page right now, but actually the synergy works out really well if executed properly. TopGun trying to rep this fight, punish these people who are weak from the previous fight that was off in the distance. They're trying to heal up and turtle up in this little box here. They're really unloading, and while TopGun was doing so, Rocky was on the bottom ground and was able to get these shots off. TopGun getting punished by a trap placement, will likely be finished by the trap. It's going to be tough to watch this position here. Rocky is able to destroy the wall there, so the trap does not finish off TopGun. Beautiful. The other player is just trying to basically... there's another trap place that did kill off TopGun. That really is hard to see. But the other player is just basically just trying to turtle up and finish off TopGun. Unfortunately, what happened there is TopGun was trying to pressure from the top while Rocky was shooting from the side. And they were able to get one shot off and get an enemy killed, but the other enemy player was able to place traps in the box, which is actually a really smart thing to do. Something that's really punishing of players such as TopGun that really try to push on the aggression, really try to punish people turtling up. The typical answer for turtles is once they get inside like that, they just place their own traps. Punish them for getting inside. Try to survive long enough before they can shotgun you down. So we'll see Rocky's perspective here. We only have one perspective now. Rocky is surely capable of clutching up this victory. There's 5 other players in this map. It's 1v1 right here. So there'll be 4 other players beyond it, likely 2 teams of 2. This is duos, not squads. Rocky trying to find exactly where the other player is. He's not sure which box specifically the other player is behind. They're almost guaranteed right now with this opening trying to heal up. They likely have at this point. So Rocky might as well assume this player is even as far up as 100, 100, 200 total with the shielding HP. Trying to just destroy the cover safely. Get some shots in. Try to get a snipe off when he can. 4 other players in the lobby, so 3 outside of this fight. Rocky trying to bait off the snipes and try to bait off some angles here. Takes a little bit of damage from the other player's AR. This is a very good player right here. Very good fight. Rocky distributing patience. Trying to build his cover right now. Pushing the aggression on top of the other player who exposed them slightly. Rocky just missed a shotgun shot. Trying to build for the high ground right now. The other player is a little bit ahead of the tempo. This player is very skilled, in fact. Rocky no shielding any longer. This is quite the fight here. The other player is trying to punish the turtle right now, just like TopGun was doing to him earlier. But the other player is not dropping into the box. They're just spamming shots from the top. So Rocky is not quite able to make a trap play happen here. Rocky disengaging slightly. Not necessarily running for the fight, but just trying to disengage to the fight. Trying to see if he can find any kind of recovery options on the floor. Try to drop down for the next zone positioning. Try and knock off the structures here. The other player recognizes it, falling down. Rocky a little bit exposed on the ground here. Develops some, produces some cover for himself as needed. He saw an opportunity to spray the shots, but then was taking a little bit too long. The other player was building their own cover. Rocky again trying to just find a solution to this fight here. The other player is doing a really good job of just providing cover for themselves, messing up the build a little bit, recovering slightly. Trying to develop his own high ground once again over the other player. Oh, he might fall to potentially his death there. Clips a ledge on his way down, so he'd still take some fall damage, but he's not quite dead, not quite out yet. He has no recovery options. This is going to be really tough for Rocky here. The other player, Rocky lands a clutch shot. Amazing shot right there on the other player at far distance. The other player didn't seem to have any shields. Not much HP effectively, essentially there. Rocky getting some bandages off from the other player. What a clutch moment from Rocky right there. The other player was trying to get the shots off because the zone was coming in. Both players being a little bit pressured there. Their hand being a little bit forced. And Rocky just really clutching it out there. The other player just resolved just spraying an AR at that range. But the shotguns, especially a blue pump, can do an incredible amount of damage at that range. So Rocky, his heart's probably racing right now. That was incredible. And luckily finding some mushrooms. These give you 5 shields each and can take you up to 100 though. He's going to have to find about 20 total mushrooms to get up there. That's going to be quite a lot. Filling out his inventory. He has an answer for every situation right now with exception to additional recovery options at 95 effective HP. So I'm going to check to see if there's a chest inside this truck. There isn't. Top 4 situation is 1v3. It's duos, so likely it's going to be a team of 2, a solo, and then Rocky. Rocky does have a campfire. That is wonderful that he was able to find that. Might have been really good if he perhaps would have saved some bandages and used the campfire to get to the top so he had some kind of recovery option for the future. But he decided to go and use the bandages. He did need to roam, so he doesn't know for sure if he'd be able to find a spot. It might get sniped. Barely dodges. Crouches at just the right moment to dodge that headshot from the other player. Knows where at least one enemy player is. There's 2 1x1s, it looks like, right next to each other because there's 2 different material types going all the way up. So it's likely the team of 2 right there, more likely than not. Stay on top of a high ground. That team will not be in the next zone. That's going to be in 45 seconds. So Rocky really wants to try to get a snipe off, but he's going to have to play a little bit slow, get his materials up because he's very low on wood. He recognizes it. The other team seems to be passively just kind of sitting in the fort. He wants to take an opportunity to get some more materials here. Again, wood is the best for aggression, best for mid fights. He has a good amount of bricks, so he's going to be okay, but would be a little bit more optimal here. He's going to build up a 1 by a little bit. Again, this is likely a team of 2, but there'll be at least one other player somewhere else on the map. The other player, it looks like that's the other team. Likely they moved over into the next spot in the zone. Where they're building at right now is going to be slightly in the zone. Rocky wants high ground to try land a snipe, just barely misses. It's really hard to tell if this is one player alone or if it's a team of 2. Rocky's uncertain as well. still 3 players across the map somewhere. Likely 1 player hiding out in the house. It's typical for a zone ending that's within a house area like this, has houses nearby. Likely at least 1 person hides out. Rocky decides to push the tempo. Oh, almost lands inside of a box area with traps in it. That would have been very rough. The other player building up to him, being very aggressive. Rocky getting the high ground on top of the other player. Tries to land his shotgun shots. Doesn't quite do so before they are able to get their walls off. Rocky throwing those stickies, very good right there. Gets that knock. Like what I was talking about before, lands the 3 stickies. There's another player right below him trying to land those shotgun shots. Misses a few, gets another 1 shot on in. Does get 1 pretty good shot off. Maintaining high control over this other player. Top 3. Doesn't look like he got that other knock elim, so it might just be a 1v1 here potentially. Unless the other player is able to get a revive. Rocky's hands being a little forced here. He does not want to let that other player get a revive off. Has to fix his building there a little bit. Looks like they might have been able to do so. The other player was falling to his death there, and the other player does finish the fight. This is a 1v1 situation for the win here. This would be incredible if Rocky's able to clutch out this victory of this game, especially considering the fight earlier. The other player was knocked on the fall down from that bounce pad. There's no fall damage, but depending on what you hit on the way down, you might be reset on the position. You might still take fall damage depending on what happens. He was getting shot by Rocky on the way down as well. Direct 1v1. Rocky falls down on the other player, tries to close the distance, get the shotgun shots off. Rocky's staying at 104 HP effectively. Drops down, gets a clean shot, follow up with another one. Rocky Rex, currently known as Rocky, clutching out a duo's victory. Beautiful showing. He is feeling good about that right now.